Hello and welcome back. It's Amanda from Hookemcreations, and today is my birthday. And while I did not plan to do this on my birthday, I decided to take advantage of it because I asked the question over on my social media platforms. If you watched the short at the beginning of September, I asked the question, is it okay for me to buy yarn on my birthday even though it is Stash Bust September? And everybody said it's like food, eating on your birthday, calories don't count. Therefore, yarn shopping does not count when it's your birthday and your significant other is not here to buy said yarn for you. I took advantage of it. I went to Joann's and I was good. I only spent like $35, but it wasn't just on yarn. I did go ahead and buy myself a couple mugs. So I got this one, the Spice Baby. Isn't it cute? I needed a fall mug, but I also needed a Halloween mug. I also, what trip to Joann's is not complete without a Joann's bag. So I got their Hey There Pumpkins bag as well. It's a little one and it fit all my stuff. I do follow other content creators for crocheting and knitting, and one of the things that I noticed them talking was there's a trend coming. It's already started, and it's the brushed look of yarn or clothing with the halo effect, the brushed look. And if you've been knitting forever like I have, you've known that's always been around, but apparently it's going to be a big trend right now coming into the fall and winter now that it's sweater weather. And already Yarnspirations has pulled out a couple of a halo effect yarn. Now, if you are into the natural fibers, usually what I'm trying to get more into the natural fibers, but I do use acrylic for projects as well because it is cheaper and it is affordable for people who are just starting out and may want to try it and see how it goes. So I went to my local Joann's. I tried to find the Lion brand, local grown brand, and it's not available at my Joann's, go figure. And but I went ahead and got myself the Karen Colorama Halo, and it has that texture, that halo effect that we're talking about, that brushed look. And it is very, very soft. One of the things that I do as I'm shopping for yarn is I have to touch everything. I have to feel the yarn, and that helps me determine whether it's to buy or not. So, but it is very soft. But the other brushed halo yarn, besides the Karen Cakes, is Red Heart Super Saver brushed. I am not a fan of Red Heart in general. However, it is the most cost-effective yarn out there. It is great for beginners if you are on a tight budget, but it's not my favorite. However, when I saw this, I saw the brushed look. You can kind of see here. As I'm it is very soft to touch. And squeezing it, it's it doesn't give me the ooh, I need it right now feel, but it does feel very, very soft. And but the colors it comes in, I got 3 different colors, and at my store they had 11 different colors, and this is 3 of them. The gray here is a soft mink. I have the teal pastel, and then this reddish one is called clay. And they also had a darker of this clay color called red brick, like a soft brick. So it was much darker. Putting them together, I'm oh, I could make a cowl with these 3 skeins and see how it is. because as for the colors, they match perfectly. They look great. But I'm wondering how they will work up. So I thought I'd take you on a little journey with me to see how they work up, not only in crochet, but also knitting. And we will do a kind of like a review scale on how it all is. All right, let's go ahead and start with the Red Heart Super Saver brushed yarn. Now, like I said, at my local Joann's, there was 11 different colors. It comes in a 5-ounce skein or 141 grams. And for those of you who really care about yardage, it comes with a 253 yards or 231 meters. So I'm going to go ahead use their recommended hooks and needle size for this worsted weight yarn. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say from straight off the shelf, if you're shopping and you want to know what it feels like, I always do a feels test. Like, is it worth buying? It has a nice squish, a nice bounce, but again, it's acrylic, so it kind of stays where you shape it to, which is not entirely all bad. It is a 4-ply. It is well brushed out. It looks almost like it is used acrylic yarn, like it's been through the wash a few times. But all in all, it is soft in some areas, but it kind of bugs me that it is brushed out, like you just literally took a hairbrush and brushed the acrylic yarn. So we'll see how it crochets up. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Clover Amour crochet hook, 5.5, which is what it recommends. Haha! I found the center. Okay, are we going to be able to pull out? Okay, pulling out's not too bad. Pulling, so far so good. I'm going to go ahead and do a round of single crochet, half double, and double crochet, just to kind of see how the stitches look. Okay, so here's the first row of single crochet, and if you look closely, you're not really getting that halo. I mean, I don't know if you can see it on camera, like in person you can kind of see it a little bit, but it looks like it's being smoothed over as I am crocheting more than giving me that halo effect. Maybe if I rough it up after I'm done. So let me do a row of half double and see how that looks. Okay, so I just did the second row as a half double. As I am working, that halo is coming through more and more. So I think over time, while you're working with it, your hands will rough it up to get that brushed look. But I'm still not loving it, but I think as I continue to work with it, it will give me something to love. But next round I'm going to do is a double crochet. Okay, that halo is starting to show more and more as I am working with it. I guess once you're working with it, that fiber starts to show a little bit more, but in the beginning it was smoothing over. And I'm sure as you keep working with it, that halo will start to show a little bit more. It is smooth, it is soft. It's like working with any red heart yarn. It doesn't have that coating that red heart has, unless you wash the yarn prior to working with it. It doesn't have that coating that it typically has when you work with red heart yarn. So overall, it's not a bad yarn. It's not entirely my favorite, but it has really, really pretty colors, and I think that's what's saving them, is the fact that the colors are very, very pretty. But let's see how it looks when you knit with it. All right, I will say pulling out of the center pull is really, really nice. This is skein number 2. I was able to find the center pull no problem, and it comes out nice and smooth. So let's see how it looks with knitting. Now they recommend the US 8 knitting needles or a 5mm knitting needles. So I'm going to go ahead and do a simple long tail cast on here. And I'm only going to do a couple stitches. I'm going to do garter and then stockinette. Now I'm not going to do a true 4" by 4" swatch because I don't have that kind of time. I will definitely, if anything, I probably would try. I don't think this would work well with the circular knitting machine. I think it's worth a try, but I don't think it will work. And I'm going to go ahead and do a couple rounds of garter and then stockinette. Okay, so here's what I have for the garter stitch. So far you're getting a little bit of, I don't think the camera is really picking it up, but you are getting a little bit of that halo, that extra fuzz. I feel like this skein has a little bit more of the brushed coming from the yarn than the other color. So it's coming out a little bit thicker. It feels like, I will say, while knitting, it does feel like I am splitting the yarn. I feel like I am splitting yarn, and I'm afraid that I am, I guess. Because once you poke your needle in, you're like, oh no, am I actually splitting it or not? Because you don't want to split your yarn when you are knitting. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple rounds of stockinette and see how it looks with this yarn. I did a couple rounds of just plain stockinette here, and it's not the same as if you're working on it like you do with the crochet. It'll get a little bit fuzzier and fuzzier, or that brushed look starts pulling through more and more. If you rub on it, you can kind of get a little bit more, but not a whole lot. Again, still feel like I am splitting my yarn. Like every time I stick my needle through, I'm about to split my yarn. And it's probably because of how the brushed yarn is. It's still pretty, it's still soft, and it looks good no matter what stitch you do. The only thing is that it is 100% acrylic, it's brushed, it's worsted weight, and all in all, technically is a good yarn. I won't knock it completely because the color choices, the color selections that Red Heart offers with this brushed yarn are some of my favorite. It's more those natural tones, those pastel and natural tones, earthy tones that I like, but for some other people it may not be their cup of tea. I'll say working with this yarn for knitting, like if you want to knit a sweater with this yarn, I say it's doable, but honestly, if you're going to knit yourself a sweater, I would honestly go with a natural fiber than a acrylic, or if you want to crochet yourself a hexa cardigan with this yarn, that's doable. And crocheting with it wasn't too bad. Actually, it was pretty easy. Finding the center pull out of these skeins were not too bad. And I forgot to mention earlier, each skein cost me $4.49, and that was before adding coupons and discounts. It is cost effective compared to purchasing mohair and an additional yarn to go with your mohair. All in all, it doesn't give me that full brushed halo-ish look. I mean, it gives you a little bit of that halo look, but not to the level that mohair would give you. All in all, I think it's a good option, but not my number one choice. All right, next up is this Karen Colorama Halo. And like squeezing it and feeling it, it is incredibly soft. And looking at it, like even on the camera, I don't need to like zoom in and say, hey, look at this halo. You can straight up see it for miles compared to the Red Heart. You can kind of see it a little bit with the Red Heart, but with the Karen cake, it goes for miles. And this cake is a bulky weight, is a 5 bulky weight. Their recommended needle sizes are a US 10. I don't have any straight needles that are US 10 or double points, but I do have 10.5s, and it's pretty dang close. It's just off by 0.5 millimeter. And then also they recommend a 6 millimeter crochet hook, so we're going to try their suggested hook and needle-ish size. Now this is made of 71% acrylic, 18% nylon, and 11% polyester. It is an 8-ounce cake, or 227 grams, 481 yards, or 440 meters. So all in all, looking at it straight from the store, this is and it comes with a variety of colors. And I chose the green because I love green. And it is incredibly, incredibly soft. So all in all, taking it off, it looks like, yeah, just what I thought. It was a 2-ply wrapped around a string, which is a method to spin, like with spinning yarn. If you work with that bulkier texture, spinners will use a string after spinning a couple rounds. So it's technically a 2-ply with a string holding it together, or to kind of keep it together is the best way to describe it. So all in all, it feels incredibly soft, and I can't get over this color. Like, I love it. So we're gonna go ahead, do the same thing I did with the brushed color. I'm gonna go ahead and chain like 10 or 12, do a single row of half double, and a row of double crochet, and see how it goes. All right, so far, guys, you can see the halo more so than the Red Heart brand with compared to this. Like, even just from a like, I don't even have to zoom into the camera for you guys to see. Like, you can see it for miles away. Like, the halo on this is by far amazing for an acrylic based brand of yarn, and it is incredibly soft. It feels like butter when working with this. Like, it is incredibly soft. Like, I feel like I'm about to lose my work because it's that soft. Now, that is just with the single crochet. Let's see how it looks with the half double crochet. Okay, half double is done. Again, look at that halo. Look at that fiber just sticking out of the stitches. Again, still feels like butter between your fingers when you are crocheting with this yarn. It is incredibly soft. I don't even need to rub it to get this halo effect. It does it all on its own. That is incredible for, again, acrylic based yarn that's trying to give you that halo effect, okay? There is no need to add mohair to this yarn whatsoever. Again, this is the first row of single. The second row is with a half double. Now let's work with a double crochet. Okay, here we are. Like, guys, I don't even need like a yarn bowl. It just keeps spinning for me. It's it's crazy. But look at that. Like, oh my gosh, it is so pretty. I don't even need to do anything with this yarn. It has great bounce. It bounces back because of that nylon and polyester fiber mixed with the acrylic. It has a great bounce. It bounces right back. It's to mimic that wool effect of bouncing back. It's not like most acrylic yarn where you stretch it and it stays there. Like, it just bounces back. Like, and look at that halo. Oh my gosh. That halo is awesome. Like, this is something I would make a sweater out of, or even a cardigan. Like, this is something, or even a hat. Like, this would be something that you can make a hat out of. Like, this is just crazy. Like, or even a headband. Like, that's probably what I'm going to be doing, is knitting or crocheting a headband for myself with this yarn. But this is just with crochet. Let's see what it looks like with knitting. Like, so far with the crocheting, just crocheting with it, this is turning into my favorite yarn because it feels like butter. It's smooth. The halo effect is amazing after crocheting with it. But let's see how knitting looks. They recommend a US 10 knitting needles. I have 10.5s ready to go. I don't have any 10s on my double points or even my straight needles, my normal knitting needles. I do have 10s for my circulars or my cables, but I'm too lazy to set them up. So we're working with 10.5s today. So again, we're going to do the same thing as last time. We're going to knit up a couple rows of garter and then stockinette and see how it looks. Okay, so I only did a couple rows so far with the garter stitch, and again, halo. I don't even have, I can be far away and you can still see that halo effect from this yarn. And again, same thing, very buttery texture, very soft, easy to work with. And these knitting needles, the Takumi Clover, the Clover Takumi brand, these knitting needles tend to split yarns easily, very easily. And working with this yarn, there's no splitting the yarn whatsoever. I don't feel like I am splitting my yarn like I did with the Red Heart brushed. I can see my stitches. That's a big plus. I can still see my stitches even with this halo effect. I'm gonna do the stockinette and see how it looks stockinette, but as a garter stitch, it looks great so far. So my hopes are very high with this yarn so far. Okay, so I'm not going to keep knitting much, and while yes, the halo is great, when it comes to stockinette, you don't really see those stitches. You just see a bunch of fuzz in there. You can't really see the stitch work, like really. You can see the garter stitch because it has bumps. You can see the purl stitches a lot easier than the knit stitches, for sure, when it comes to at least seeing things. So this is not really one of those yarns if you are going to do that more textured like stitch work. This is probably not a good yarn for that. But it's very soft, very buttery, and again, like I can pull on it and it bounces right back very easily. And it's great. It's soft, it's buttery, and like I would love to have this on my skin as a yarn. Whether knit or crochet, it is incredibly, my stitches are loose with these needles because I went, oops, flung that out of the way. Because I went like half a size up on my needles, it doesn't have that tighter stitch than probably what the 10s would be. All in all, this yarn, I think the price of it was $11.99. It was on sale for $8.99, I believe it was. And I again used my coupons and discounts, and I got this cake for $7.64. So all in all, I will say that the Red Heart brushed yarn, while it has fantastic color choices and selections, is not necessarily the best brushed yarn there is. Again, it's made of 100% acrylic. It literally looks like it's either been through the washing machine several times or someone took a pet brush to it on accident. Now, the Karen Colorama Halo yarn looks like an actual halo yarn that you would take a strand of mohair with a strand of another yarn or fiber to create that halo effect. Honestly, if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely pick the Karen Halo yarn over the Red Heart Super Saver brushed yarn. They both have fantastic color choices and color selections. They are both in big box stores such as Joann's and Michael's, and anywhere where you can find Yarnspiration brand yarn. Now, these yarns will not be going to waste, even though I don't care for the red heart yarn as much as I care for the Karen yarn. I still have plans and ideas to use them, so they will not be going to waste. So don't you worry about that. But if you want to follow along on what I do make with these yarns, be sure to follow me on other social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. While you are at it, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel and get notified of when the next video comes out by ringing the bell. It could be a surprise video, much like this one. But until next time, happy crafting.